Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Know Your Sht podcast, where our knowledge and pride in what we do drives us to be excellent. We have a great show today for you guys. You're stuck with me in the driver's seat again. I know it gets old, but we're here to learn how to stop chasing paychecks and how to start building a business we can be proud of. We do that by talking to some of the most exceptionally successful people at what they do. And we have a great show for you today because we have a great guest in Mr. Brian Walter. Brian, thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure. And I'm ready for you to drive this baby. We'll see if we go off a cliff or around a hairpin turn. We'll just go where we go.
I'm not going to lie. There is a tree coming up that I am pretty excited about that we may decide to run right into. But Brian, why don't you start off by telling everybody what it is you do?
Sure. I do something very different. So I run a business called Extreme Meetings. And so we provide customized infotainment to make meetings memorable. And you're like, really? Meetings? So I based my whole business proposition years ago on the thought that for the foreseeable future, I think meetings are going to be boring. Okay. So I think on that premise, I thought, let's try and create a new category. A new category. I try to be like, the big category of one. Well, that's actually kind of hard to do. And so I don't know if I'm quite the one, but I'm in a category of few at least.
I love it. So the base premise, what is your base premise? Meetings suck. That is my base premise. And then off of that, I have identified a need. Less sucky meetings. This is
actually
genius.
It's funny you used the suck word because when I first started, my tagline was make bad corporate meetings suck less.
Genius.
And then I thought, maybe that was a little edgier. So then I changed it to customized infotainment to make meetings memorable. But I would verbally say, or make bad meetings suck less. And whenever I would say that on a prospect call, you would get this, oh yeah, ours really sucked, Brian. We needed to.
I know.
So
it's fantastic. What do you like best about it, Brian?
What I like best about it is there is an unarticulated benefit that it brings to clients and attendees, which is to create a joyful experience at work.
Oh yeah.
And because I talk about when people come to live meetings, and after the whole post-COVID thing, it's like, now live is even more important because we realized what it was like when the entire world didn't have that for a while. This is actually becomes rare. It becomes rare that we get everybody and all hands together. Let's do a town hall. Let's do a sales meeting or a client meeting or a users conference. I mean, when people get together excited, it's one of the most expensive things that you can do as a company.
Sure.
But yet this is where your culture gets perpetuated or created. This is where people learn what their leaders are really like instead of the very controlled little Zoom things that they do. I mean, what they're really like, and you see them in unguarded moments, and they're vulnerable. And is this company and our products and services, do they suck? Or are they actually interesting? And meetings are a place where the only people who really, 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 really care get to revel in their organization. And when I use infotainment, it helps them do that in a joyful way. Where like, wow, that was great.
Yeah, no, as opposed to what it is usually, which is, especially post-COVID, I put pants on and came to the office for this.
Exactly. Was this pants worthy? Right.
Yes, exactly. Was this pants worthy? That's totally like a level. Remember in dating, it used to be Facebook official was one of the new things that came along. Oh, they're Facebook official, right? Well, this is now post-COVID. It's pants. Is it worthy of pants?
Like I shaved for this.
Yes. Okay. So where do you think all the success came from for you, Brian?
Two things here. One is finding like I said, an unarticulated need. Unarticulated need because, the benefit and the hard part of my business is I had to reveal how much they needed something they didn't know. And in most business success, they're like, find a need, articulate the need, quantify the need, and then show how it's economically irresponsible for them not to hire you. That's great unless you work in something that's extraordinarily subjective.
Yeah.
But a lot of us, we're trying to fill needs that are subjective. And so when it comes to subjectives, be able to articulate something in a way they hadn't thought before. Two examples of that. One is I'm talking to prospects and they're having a conference, a meeting, or whatever. And I like to always ask earlier, and so what's the theme of the conference? And usually it's something like soar with the eagles or suck with the anteaters, I mean, some blah, blah, blah theme.
Yeah, yeah,
And then I look at the agenda and I said, okay, um, so which vice president, or well, who's actually talking about eagles
yeah,
or soaring?
yeah,
No one. And it's like, well, I don't think that you're going to find anyone who can speak to soaring eagles in, HVAC. So
yeah,
what we need to customize some content to deliver on your theme.
yeah.
But that's fun. That's kind of a fun way. But the most powerful way is when I've been talking with prospects, and especially if there's like high-ranking leaders there. Usually, the meeting organizer, someone they're talking, and the leaders are kind of sitting back. Okay, why are we on this call with this guy? I don't know.
Who
Okay.
is this guy?
And then I would say, so let's ask what I call the core question. Like, what's the core question? I said, what do you want your attendees to believe after the meeting that they didn't already believe before the meeting?
Mm-hmm.
And I would see the decision makers, and they go, "Uh, uh." And
Yeah,
at that moment, I realized whatever comes out of their mouth is what they really want. And if I can align to that, I've got the gig and price is less relevant. And it might come, so it's like, if we could get people to believe that this year's going to be better than last year and just hang in there, that would be great.
yeah,
If we can
mhm,
get people to believe that our restructuring is actually good and not devastating, if we could get people to believe, because when you say believe, it's not like be aware of our fourth quarter projections are suboptimal.
yeah,
That's information. That's not a
yeah,
belief. But when they say believe, it's like whenever they would say something power. And again, that was okay, I can tie into that.
yeah.
If I tie into that, I've got this gig, and then they trust me because I ask a good question. And then if I deliver on it, I'm a barnacle on their ship and I'll stick with them for years.
I love it. Barnacle is a good place to be. I hear you talk about that, and the thing that comes to mind is like, what's the idea that's going to make people march into cannons for this, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
you watch the Revolutionary War guys, right? And it's all right. We
Mm-hmm.
need you to walk right into that cannon. No, not to the left, not the no. If you're looking right down the barrel of the cannon, you're doing everything. And the person's like, yeah, okay. What did they say to that guy to make that
Mm-hmm.
guy
Yeah.
right? The things that people believe, whether it's a flag or whatever, those ideas that make people move. So, and I've listened to you speak, and I always anytime I hear you speak, it's always I very much enjoy it because there's a lot of creativity that goes into what you do, and
Mm-hmm.
so I wanted kind of your assessment of what you think in your makeup makes you
Mm-hmm.
good at the thing that you do, because obviously you're taking somebody else's idea and now
Yeah.
building something around that, which is a skill set.
Well, great. You really put out a key thing here, which is I'm taking somebody's idea. There are traditional speakers who they're bringing their content in, and that is a great business model. It's also very competitive.
Crowded, yeah.
And so, where I was trying to create again early on, I realized I I knew I knew a little bit about everything, but not everything about anything.
Mm,
Like a little bit of, I mean, so like I was a supreme generalist. It's like, well, I've done a little bit of sales, a little bit of advertising, a little bit of marketing, a little bit of training, a little bit of management, a little bit of copywriting, a little bit of production, a little bit of customer service. Like, but I'm like, I'm not writing the book on here's how you do it.
right.
And then I realized that I can help them tell part of their story in the meeting. So like that was the key thing, like you talked about. So then it came down to creativity, because one of the things that I try to be as much a category of one as possible is like how I express the idea. Perfect
Hmm.
example, recent client, um, head of a hospital system, and he's the chief human resource officer. And he's talking about, it's like, well, I really need to get all of our 200 plus, HR managers and leaders and employees focusing on collaboration. Okay, so if you just say that,
Yep.
Okay. They're going to nod politely. Yeah, collaboration is very important. Yes,
Yeah,
collaboration is
super
very
important.
important.
Absolutely.
And then
Yes,
they're
it
going to
is.
leave and then they're not going to think about it at all. And
Hmm.
so, like, how do you hook? How do you get the idea of collaborating into your people's minds in a way that sticks? And so, usually, I have a concept I call mini brands, which is you brand your point. So, this one I talked about, I said, we're going to add one word to this. We're going to call them collaboration sprints. Your collaboration sprints, you do what I call the Scooby Doo response.
Yep.
I mean, what's collaboration sprint? Because when you think about it, when you say collaboration, people think, oh no, it's like, oh my gosh, it's not enough that I have to do my job. I have to listen to someone else try and help me do my job, or worse, I have to help them do
Have to do
their
their
job.
job.
We all like, oh my gosh, this is going to take forever. I hate everything about this.
Yeah.
So collaboration sounds like long.
Hmm.
And we said, collaboration sprint. It's like, wait, I mean, like short collaboration? So as
Yep.
soon as you get people to move their heads, like what?
Yep.
Like, huh? Then you hook them and you talk about, oh yeah, well, this is where you look at a moment, you say, okay, we sprint in, we do a collaboration together, then we go back. Well, that doesn't sound so bad. Then you get
Yeah.
them thinking instead of if you want, so you want to shift people from an if to a which. Instead of if we're going to do collaboration sprint, which collaboration sprint technique are we going to do? So we
Hmm.
said, oh, like, hey, there's something called a heads up. It's like, hey, when you're about to send an email, or you're about to do a meeting with internal process or internal client, is there anybody else in the HR department you think you should give a heads up to? Oh, yeah, they might. Hey, clickety Josh. Hey, just want to give you a heads up. I'm going to be talking to the client that we both help about this one thing. Thought you might want to know. That's it. It took you about 7 seconds, or if you're using ChatGPT, about 5 seconds. When there it goes, and people start thinking, well, gosh, I'd like to get a heads up for things that piss me off if I don't find out about it. Like, so suddenly, like a heads up or a +1. It's like, hey, you go to this meeting here. Should you bring an HR colleague with you? It's like, hey, Josh, I'm inviting you to this meeting here because as soon as I finish my part, they're going to immediately ask about your part. Why don't we save time and just have you be there? And you're like, sounds
Yeah.
great. Thanks so much. So now it's like, that wasn't hard. And so next thing you know, so we had them start tracking this over a month in February, the shortest month of the year. Which collaboration sprints did you do? And over the course of the year, they did, of course of the month, they did over several hundred collaboration sprints. Now, some of these, of course, are just emails or meeting
Yeah. Sure.
invites. There were other ones, but it's like several hundred. Well, suddenly now that becomes a habit and you've
Yeah.
changed the culture. And right now, if I went to anybody in that department and we said, what is the most important thing going on right now? They're, collaboration sprints.
Hmm.
And it all started with, we didn't just call it a stupid thing like collaboration is important.
Yep. No. Branding, and I get it. It's a thing. Getting it stuck in people's mind. I've watched you do this with certain fruits may or may not have been harmed in the making of what I saw in person, but yeah, no, it's a thing. So, what do you think makes you passionate about it, Brian? Obviously, you care very much about this. I've watched you. I know it resonates with you. Where does the passion come from?
The passion comes from I think when you think of like what is it that's your own magic, and I think
Hmm.
all of us have our different magic. And for us, like we might do something, and people are like, "Oh, that's amazing!" They look at us like, you're a wizard, Josh." I mean, like they think we're magic, but we're thinking, "Oh, that's craft." It was
Yeah.
talent plus craft, talent plus passion plus craft. But to others, it looks like magic. And so I said, when you discover what your magic is, still takes work, still takes effort, you got to market, all that kind of stuff. But then you're as close as you can get to what I call compensated joy.
Yeah. Yeah. I get that.
Compensated joy to me that's the ultimate. Now, don't get me wrong. I have many services that I do, and I don't have equal amounts of joy in doing one. Some of them, because just because it's compensated joy doesn't mean it's equally compensated. So
Joy,
there's certain
joy
things we
equality
do.
has not been fully established.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's not, you could only get paid for things that you love. It's like that whole phrase. It's like, if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. That's BS. That is
Yeah.
not true. But can we get closer to that? Closer to
Sure.
that. And so for me, my favorite thing is creative problem solving. It's like,
Mm.
we're going to talk about something that's dull.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, really? So bring it. Let's go. Like I'm like a minor league hockey player. Gloves off. Okay, let's go. You think
Yeah.
that's boring? I'm not going to let that be boring. And
Over
I think
my dead body. Yeah, no,
exactly.
I
And
hear
punch
you.
me in the face. Let's go. Anything. I remember doing this one event for a. It was an aviation supplier company, and this one guy at this user conference was in charge of
Ah,
documentation. And this was before everyone had iPads. So before iPads, documentation was giant white 3-ring binders. And
yeah.
that was everywhere. Everything had. And this guy was in charge of it. And they said at the user conference, they want him to present. And I talked to him and I said, you don't want him to present,
Mm-mm.
but I will interview him. And so my first question was, so Bob, is it true just your department is deforested Brazil? Just your department here. And it's like, so we started with self-deprecating humor
Yep.
and we found things that people didn't know. And suddenly he was one of the coolest guys in this user conference because he was the Duke of documentation.
Yeah.
And anything can be made interesting as long as you give it a twist. And so that's what really gets me revved up and going. And clients talking about, gosh, you have so much energy. We love your energy. It's because I'm into it. I'm into
Yeah.
it.
No, it's playing to your strengths, man, and finding what those strengths are and playing to them. It's you got. I think
Mhm.
I've always thought it's the assessment. Am I a Ferrari or a pickup truck? If I'm a Ferrari, I shouldn't be going to Home Depot to pick up plywood. So like when you figure out where the racetrack you belong on, and you're running those kind of races, it's going to be playing to how you're made. So it's good stuff. But kind of in keeping with that idea of how you're made.
Mhm.
Um, I know the business that you're in and the business that I'm in.
Mhm.
And being in business, there's always disappointment. There's always unmet
Mhm.
expectations. There's always, the big cherry job that you want, and it's between you and
Yep.
someone
Yep.
else, and somebody else gets it. How do you manage yourself, Brian? How do you deal with the unmet expectations, the disappointments? What do you do to keep it on the rails?
Sure. Well, the first thing I think we have to have what is our operating system? I'm talking about our kind of emotional attitude operating system. I have a personal philosophy in life that I call assertive optimism, which
Okay.
is that I go in every situation like it is going to work out, but it's not like The Secret, just manifest it and it'll become true. It's like no, you have to do
Yeah.
stuff,
No. No.
to
I
do
got
stuff. But again, I always presume it's going to work out, and most of the time it does, but not all the time because then you'd be fatalistic or cocky or arrogant,
you.
and
Yeah.
that doesn't sell really well. So one is just
Yeah.
have the philosophy, and I guess part of the deal is that I have this weird mental habit of I don't beat myself up. And most of
Mm.
us, we are our own worst critics. It's not like,
Yep.
I'll have enough, as I call it, I'll have enough pre-success where it's not quite successful. Yeah, I'm still in the pre-success mode. How long has this been in the pre-success mode? Oh, about 5 years now. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not looking good for that. Okay. But then it's like twisted turn and I choose not to beat myself up because it's like, okay, so that didn't work out that way. I'm going to try it this way. And it's like, is it intellectually and emotionally engaging and challenging to try it this way, try it this way, try it this way? And eventually, some aspect of it's going to work. And either I'll say, okay, I'm going to let go of all the other stuff and go with the part that I like. And it's rare that I'll just completely abandon something because it's
Mm.
like if we're trying something, we're trying it for a reason. It could be a
Yeah.
product, it could be a service, it could be something. There's value there, but then the market gets to vote. Weird. And they
Totally a
say,
thing.
well, thanks for that. When you're offering it for free, we really like it, but that whole charging for it,
Yeah.
not as much. So then it's like, okay, well, can I offer it for free and I get a different benefit?
Hmm.
Can I offer it for free and I get an opportunity? Can I offer it for free and build something else that will be more monetizable? So that's where again, just looking at it, it's like very few things do I say that was horrible. I was stupid. Let's abandon it. Now, when
Yeah.
those things do occasionally happen, yeah, you do need to put that sucker down, like you double tap. It goes down like a John Wick movie, like this, boom, like kill it. Okay, it's
Right
dead.
behind the barn. Yeah. Yeah. No, I gotcha.
Yeah.
No,
But most of the time it's like, okay, I don't want to say salvage because salvage has a negative thing, but it's like, okay, I tried this thinking this was going to be the outcome. It's not. But the outcome that I am seeing, is there something I can do with that that's different and go in a different direction? And if so, then I don't look at that as a failure. I look at that as a twist.
The twist works its way. Yeah, the learning experience, if you will, like what we learn. I the ultimate guy for this is Thomas Edison. If you want to see somebody that can put a bright spin on bad stuff, I
Mhm.
mean, we didn't find 10,000. We found 10,000 ways that wouldn't make a light bulb work. Damn it! I am the master at finding ways that won't work.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
exactly. And of course, we'd mentioned it's like he's employing 300 technicians who are up late. Like, I'm going to go to bed now. Let me know if that 742nd one works. I'll see you in the morning. He's like, okay, we're
Yeah,
working hard. It's just like
yeah. No, the guy was very interesting about. But some of the
Mhm.
best quotes ever were, from him. People. One of the ones that I read recently was, "People miss opportunities all the time because it comes dressed in overalls and looks like hard work."
Mhm.
It's a thing, and so putting that work in, the mental effort to either decide if is there something that we can get out of this, some return on this investment that we have,
Mhm.
or again behind the barn, John Wick style, put her down. It's a
Taking a
thing.
very violent turn with your podcast here.
We
It's like
did,
really,
but
we'll put it like
ammunition.
children
Yeah,
should not be viewing in. It's like, and all the violence is simulated in this
yeah.
discussion.
No, well, I mean, if you had your kid listen to the Know Your Shit podcast, we have to
Yeah,
question
what
your
kind of parent
decision
would you
making.
be? They're going to
What
call
kind
Child Protective Services on you. It's like,
of
okay.
Absolutely, there is a warning label attached. I know that you have some stuff that you do, Brian, with your company. I want to talk about that a little bit. Sticky branding, all that kind of stuff. What are the tools that you have that are out there for people to take advantage of?
Well, sure. So again, this shows a interesting evolution, like what we were talking about. So when first I thought, okay, what is a shift that I want to make from purely providing an experience, a customized service for clients, and then we're done, and then I do related things for them and take care of them. And it's like, what is something that I could do for more of a one to a many thing, one to many rather
Mm,
than one on one with clients? So I started thinking of the training field. I thought it's like, okay, because I've done a lot of stuff in training, and so I'll create sticky training. And so the idea is I have different techniques, there, exercises and game shows and different ways of where you can literally plug and play your content into that. And so I created stickytraining.com, and I've got these techniques for sale there. And if any of your listeners are into training, feel free. What was interesting though is trainers are like, okay, we like this, but then I realized it's like, I'm making that too narrow, because
yeah,
it's like, well, you could use this as a meeting, as a leader. It's like, because we talked about like, you're a leader. It's like, you don't want to be boring. It's like, again, when you think
absolutely.
of, even though all the weird stuff that's going on right now in our country, we can't agree on anything. But one thing we realize is that when people work for you, you don't want them to leave. Like,
Yeah,
that's, there you go. And so, especially with Gen Z, which is the generation that's filling up those folks in their 20s,
hmm,
and soon to be in their early 30s. They don't want to work at a place that's dull and boring.
yep.
So it's like, so if you're a leader,
Crazy
do
as
you
that
want to engage
sounds.
them? And it's like, you want to have interaction, you want to have trivia, you want to make them part of the meeting instead of, just sit there. Don't look at your phone. Don't look at your phones. Just sit here and watch me drone on with slides.
You
So
brought something up there, Brian, and it kind of hit. I don't think any generation wants to be work someplace boring. They'll just Generation Z will actually just get up and leave, unlike the
yes,
rest of us who put up
oh
with
yeah.
it. I guess that's maybe the big differentiator. They'll actually leave.
Well, you're right. I think the millennial generation, I was the first who were like, yeah, now. Yeah,
Yeah,
now. Uh, but it's like the boomers who are almost gone, but
mhm.
still there, but almost gone. They still have some money, so it's like almost gone. It's like that was a generation that would just take it, because
Yeah,
it's like, okay, there's literally millions of us. There's only so many jobs, and so we must always compete. We must always compete. We got to put in our hours and put in our dues and all that kind of stuff. And so that generation, like, we had to sit there and take it, take it,
yeah,
take it. And then X is like, maybe they were like X were like the first latchkey kids. It's like, well, gosh, I watched my parents get laid off at 50. That sucks. And
yeah,
maybe I'll just create my own business and screw all of you. And that's it. And then, the millennials are like, you're raised to be special and important. We're putting all these resources in you. You can do anything you want. And they go in the workforce and they're like, yeah, we want you to be in this job and be miserable for 3 years. And they're like, nah, bro, not going to do it.
yeah.
I'm just going to go. And because there's more opportunity for them. They didn't have to. And so I think that whole that battle for talent. Now, depending on how employment goes up and down, it's like, okay, there isn't always going to be fighting just for people to fill the jobs, but there'll
Yeah,
always be a battle for talent. And
that is a
talent
thing.
are people who want to be engaged and be part of something. That's why I kept going back to the idea of meetings, which I think, yeah, there's people like me and you and speakers who can help meetings. But in general, though, companies put on meetings themselves and they featured their own leaders.
Yeah,
So I wanted to have some tools that would help leaders present on something and not suck and be
yeah,
engaging.
yeah. No, absolutely. How to tap into the better version of themselves in presenting the
Even
information.
if their version of themselves sucks, that's okay. But how to
That
project
sucks.
a more interesting and like a more interesting thing, and at least be engaging. At least be engaging.
Yeah, yeah. So, as you look at it, Brian, what do you see as the opportunity in the market today? What's the thing that gets you excited as a person that has a business? What do you say?
I think right now we're in the excitement and OMG phase of AI. Like I
Yeah,
mean, like every time you hear it, it's like within 10 years, you're like, what? Who will still have a job?
yeah,
They always say that whenever the technology, and yes, the application of AI has been faster than anything we've ever seen. But that's also because we'd already laid the foundation. Like we already had computers, we already had the internet, we already had mobile devices. So yeah, we were already ready for this to do.
yeah.
But it reminded me of a science fiction book that I read decades ago. Young read it, and it imagined something like AI, where the robots and the computers are doing most of the work, but the one thing that it couldn't do was be entertaining. And so in the
Mm,
science fiction book, the only jobs were those creating entertainment programming and entertainment experiences. And in some ways, I'm thinking that's part of the opportunity. Like, how do we show that we're human and engaging? Because AI is going to be amazing, but it's amazing at things that are already boring. Like they're
yeah,
like, oh my gosh, I used AI to write my email for me because no one has ever said, "Oh yeah, let's write that email." I mean,
yeah,
we're happy. It's like, but on the other hand, it's like, well, let's have AI run this meeting. It's like that's going to be boring. And so, to me, there's always going to be the opportunity to use these tools, technology, AI things. But how can we make a more human connection? Which goes with motivation, excitement, what we're willing to do. Even though our jobs are going to evolve, getting together in person will never not happen
yeah.
because we're genetically programmed to do that.
We're herd
So
animals.
that's the
We are.
opportunity. We're always going to meet in person. I was just at a conference earlier this week. It was called the Meetings Industry Council, and they had Michael Dominguez, who's been for 30 years an expert in the industry. And he was again talking about here's all the room rates and the hotel trends and things like that. It's like we will always meet together in person. The only question is, how well will we do that? And can we maximize our ROI for doing that? And as
Sure.
long as those two things are true, we're going to do that and we're always going to struggle with the ROI. I look at that there's business opportunities to help organizations and individuals maximize that.
I think that the idea that human beings are herd animals, we're pack animals, and one of the things that I always found most fascinating, and I've actually written some stuff on that for the real estate industry, on the idea of how lonely human beings are right now. Like Americans are the loneliest and most disconnected they've ever been because we have these devices that get in the way.
Mhm,
It scratches the itch for our human interaction, but it
mhm.
doesn't actually give us the nutritional value of being in a room with people and talking and engaging. Um, I think there's a huge call for doing that well and in a way that at the same time you're scratching that, giving them that need filled, and at the same time getting the ROI that you're talking about. Doing that well is just playing once again to how kind of we're wired and how we're made. It's genius stuff. Um, what do you think is the most important thing you've learned in the process of doing what you've done, Brian?
I would say the most important thing is picking what you want to be sticky. Now, it sounds weird. So, whether like the thing of the business people who are listening to this, if you're a manager, you have a team, or you have colleagues or something like that, or even your customers, there's something you want to get into their head.
Right.
And it could be, this is an opportunity, this is a good deal, this is a priority, there's something going to do here. It's like, and brute force repetition is not the best way to do that.
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong, certain things, like if I'm going to have cataract surgery, I would like the doctor who has done this procedure 10,000 times before she or he gets to my eyeballs.
Yep.
But that's a procedure. On the other hand, I would not want someone to tell me a message 10,000 times. And so when it comes to being able to pick, like, rather than saying, I'm going to be an information spewer in my business. It's like, you're talking about, real estate here. It's like, let me tell you everything about the house here. We got this and this and this and this and this. Then they're like, all those words just washed over me. It's like, no, like, what's the story? Have you heard anything about me that will make me excited about this house? And it could be, I'm just going to make something. It's like 5 minutes to a better life, Brian, in this house. What do you mean 5 minutes to a better life? It's like, well, they do these studies here that the shorter your commute is, the happier you're going to be. The shorter where you want to be, you talked to me about this and this and this. Everything that you said is within 5 minutes. This is 5 minutes to a better life. What is the only thing that they're going to remember when they get home and they talk with their spouse or significant other about that house? It's like, when he said that 5 minutes to a better life, you can't unhear that. It's sticky. It gets in their head. Instead of saying, this house have tons of features that are congruent with many of the priorities that you've shared with me in our pre-questionnaire that I had you filled out before you got me. It's like, and like, let's talk about price. It's like, you want them thinking, wow, 5 minutes to a better life.
Thinking about all those minutes that you're taking back ownership of, that you now get to take and reallocate to whatever you want to do. No, it's and this is one of the reasons why I so enjoyed your presentation. That superpower of yours to concisely get not only an idea, but to frame it in a way that, those little things that when you go to the field, they stick to your pants and you got to like get them off with little stickers on there.
Exactly.
It's
so you're comparing me to an irritating weed that latches onto your jeans. Thank you, Josh. There you go. That's
totally what I was going for there. Totally. I mean, that was the big takeaway. Irritating weed. I was like, man, if I could.
Nailed it
in one. I'll tell you what, though, as far as sticky goes, those little suckers, they hang in there.
Stickier than that. So it's like, getting out your dog's fur. Like, that's not going to happen. But you're right. It's like, can you get something that's important and beneficial to them? Because when we get people to ponder, when you think of like, what is something that's sticky? It's like something it's a perceived aha. Ooh. And I felt something.
Yeah.
And I know what to call it. Because if I know what to call it, I can recall it. And if I can recall it, I can repeat it.
Yeah.
There he goes. It's like perceive. And so again, whenever we're selling ideas, like you're a manager and you're trying to sell your employees or motivate them a particular thing, it's like you want to get in their head. It's like, okay, well, there's got to be an insight. And it could be like I was talking with one company and they were talking about, cleanup at the job site of constructions, at the end of the day. And they're like, oh my gosh, my guys leave everything around. And then the homeowners get pissed, or the site managers get pissed. That's it. And they're like, well, I got to get home. I got to, and it's like, okay, so just sing again and again. It's really important. It's really important. Gosh, you guys, you pick it up. You got to do that before you go. You're pissing me off. It's like, that's a good thing. And then it's like, I want you to think of, on a job site, clutter is cash. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to do an exercise. I'm going to give each one of you guys or gals $100 bill. I want you to put it on the ground. All right. Now I want everyone to get in their car and their white pickup trucks, drive 100 yards, and then stop and think about how that feels. And then you're going to get out of the car, and the first 3 people back to the site gets to keep their $100 bill. Go! It's like, they would never forget that. They would never forget that, because then you say it's like, clutter is cash to our company. When we leave
Yeah.
something in the ground, it gets stolen. We leave something in the ground, it gets complained about it. And then if they're pissed about that, how do you think they're going to be on the little mistake that you made? They're going to find that, they're going to complain about that, cost us money. So suddenly they're thinking, clutter is cash. Clutter
Yep.
is cash at the end of the day. So something like that. It's like, to me, it's those things that if we can all think about it, it's like, how do we make something that's important we want to get in their head more interesting?
Yeah, no, it seems to me that there's that hook line that generates enough interest to get the detail on what that actually means. That seems to be kind of the running theme. It's like the statement
Mhm.
itself isn't necessarily encompassing of the idea, but it's intriguing enough to make them want, well, what do you mean? And
Yeah.
that's kind of been what I've seen the collaboration sprints and all these things
Mhm.
is yeah, again, the Scooby Doo, right?
Yeah,
Um,
it hooks you and you want to know more. But also a lot of times we underplay the emotional aspect of it.
mhm.
Again, I've even done an exercise. We've all heard the phrase, don't leave money on the table.
Yep.
To do an exercise where they literally leave money on the table. A great exercise, again, at a meeting when you want to make a point like that. I had people and I said, it's like, okay, everyone, at this table here, pull out your wallet. And I used to say, pull out the highest bill you had. Well, no one has, cash anymore. So I would say, it's like, okay, take out your credit card that's got the highest open to buy on it. Okay. There's
Yeah.
like, and put it in the center. Okay. Everyone puts it in the center. And then someone says, mix it up. And people are like, you're touching my credit card.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
said,
Yeah.
okay, you cannot pick up your credit card again until we go to break. And then towards the break, they said, how many of you are feeling anxiety about your credit card that's 18 inches away from you,
Yep.
surrounded by people you trust? It's like, you feel that. It's like, now feel X. This is what we're doing when we don't do this. It's like,
Yeah.
you get people feeling about it. It's like, you got to feel about it. It's like, yeah, we're leaving. This is an opportunity. We're leaving this opportunity. And just instead of saying it, it's like, here's a great opportunity here. There's a market opportunity here, and we prove our execution here. Then we can change our closing ratio from 0.02% for 0.033%, which will have positive cash flow effects with EBITDA.
You
Like,
know,
oh my gosh, it's like you lost
I
me.
love what you're talking about because as I think about some of the things that I've done and the things that I've seen move the needle the most, I'm seeing the similar pattern of the idea. Like one of the big things I have lots of series of threes of things that I talk about, and I'm hearing a lot of that in what you're talking about. The idea of
Mhm.
you know good businesses anticipate their customer. Well, now that I figure out they're going to be like this. Second thing is empathy. Like, well, what does it feel like when I'm like that? And then the third thing is pre-negotiate. If I can assume that I know what it feels like, why don't I do the stuff at the beginning to cut that off at the pass before it gets a chance to manifest itself, right?
Mhm.
And so, like, I'm in sales, and so one of the analogies, one of the stories I tell is, can you imagine? Let me take a half a step back, give you some context.
Mhm.
Real estate agents are always annoyed that they don't have more respect and customers don't treat them great and all this
Mhm.
fun stuff. I said, and what they always do is they're trained to start the conversation off with the customer with questions. You ask, what's your budget? Where do you want to be? But simultaneously, the culture in real estate is buyers are liars and sellers are worse. And so my position is the reason buyers are liars is because agents have done nothing to show them they're worthy of the truth. Like, right. So I say to them, guys, I want you to imagine you go buy a used car, right? You're standing there, you're looking at the car, right? And you don't hear, you don't see, but you feel the used car salesman coming. The feeling you got to cover yourself in degreaser, right? And the used car salesman walks up, says, "Hey, I see you look at the car. How much money you got to spend on a car today?" Raise your hand if you tell them the truth. And nobody puts up their hand. I'm like, I guess you're liars too. And you're mad at your cut, right? It's so simple when you put yourself in the position of the customer. So like, and and I think that's very much a kind of same idea, but coming at it from a different side. What's it like to be in the meeting? How do I take and give them something that they're going to feel they're familiar with this feeling? You're doing this now to somebody else, right?
Mhm.
And that's awesome stuff, man. Because when I know when I'm successfully able to do that, the light bulbs go on and it kind of sticks a little better. So, I mean, I'm saying basically what you do, I've actually seen that work, even not realizing I'm, doing a
Mhm.
little bit of what you do, but it's very, very great to hear it codified so well, because obviously this is what you've committed yourself to. Now that I kind of understand what you do a little
Mhm.
bit, Brian, I'd like to ask a couple like kind of quick questions, but about a
Oh,
little
so
bit
quick,
more
quick
about
question,
you.
quick answers, not like 14-minute answers. Great. Okay. Excellent. Let's
Yeah, no,
speed round. Here we go.
there we go. A little bit of lightning round. What are you most proud of in business you've accomplished? Would you say?
Let's see. I have clients who last for years and years and years and years and years. I just told one client, they said, "How long have you been supporting our company?" I said, "This year, 20 years."
Mm.
20 years. And that same client, they just had a new person. Again, I'm an external consultant, to them, and service provider. They just had a new person come into their internal communications department. I mean, she's been there like 3 weeks. She suddenly hears about this initiative they're talking about, and she said, "I heard you did some graphics for that. Can you tell me anything about that?" And so I sent her like 10 slides of background on this. I here's everything you'll need to know about this project. She's like, "Oh my gosh, this is amazing." And this is how you become a barnacle. It's like I have more ancestral knowledge than
Of their
most of my
business.
clients because I've been there longer than they have.
Yeah.
And that's part
Yeah.
of the job. I mean, that's because they come and they go. So to me, that's a problem. That it's like I look at clients. Okay, I've been working with them since 2005. I've been working for this client since 2007. I've been working this client since 2011. I've been with this client. It's like my thought is like if we can do year after year after year after year, then you've figured out the right balance of service, value, and relationship. And that's what
Yeah.
I think I'm proudest about.
That's awesome, man. I mean, man, 20 years with the same, that's a common law marriage. One of you would owe the other one alimony if you were to
So it's
break
like
up at this
other
point.
people are like, I've been married 3 times since then. I mean,
It's a thing. All right, similar question, Brian, but a little bit more personal. What would
ooh.
you say you're most proud of in life that you've done?
In life, I would say that the compilation. I mean, it's going to sound the trite thing, but it's my family. It's like I met my wife at UCLA. We were college sweethearts, and we got married like months after I graduated, before her senior year. We're still together now.
Oh, wow.
We have I have
That
two
makes you
adult.
sticky, buddy.
And there you go. It's like, well, part of the deal is that it's like I had this very brief window where I wasn't unattractive. Okay. And
Okay.
then longer in a lifetime thing. But the deal with Karen is like, she's like, as long as we laugh every day. I said, oh, there will seriously not be a single day that goes by that you won't laugh. And so that, and again, our adult daughters are close, and we have a grandson that's 7 minutes and 12 seconds away. And so
Oh, brother,
our
congratulations.
life is here, and that's what I'm most proud of.
That's fantastic, man. That's what I love to hear. That's getting it all right there.
Mhm.
If you had to give our listeners, you may never see them, speak to them again. If you had to give them one piece of advice, what would you like to share?
Let's see a couple things here. In my space of meetings, meetings and training, it's like all of your listeners at some point will either be in charge of a meeting or training, or they will be part of it, or you'll be a victim of it. So in there, and
On the
so
receiving end.
when it's your turn, do less with more instead of more with less. It's like the more things you talk about, the less you can say about it. So you say less and less about more and more until you've said nothing about everything. It's
Yeah.
like you're a human PowerPoint slide with 9 bullets. It's like
Mm,
what people would rather happen to be like, there's one thing that I really remember that she or he said. And it made
yeah.
me go, huh, that's
Yeah.
so much better than sharing. Okay, regular guy, I'm going to give you an update. I got about 10 things. I don't have a lot of time, so I'll just talk faster.
Yep.
It's like better for you not to do that at all than to do that.
I remember
Do
reading
more.
something. I'm
Mhm.
sorry.
No, it's again, it's doing do more with less instead of less with more.
I remember reading something about Steve Jobs' PowerPoint presentations and how
Hmm.
they would have 6 slides and there'd be 8 words total in the entire slide deck.
Hmm.
It was just image, and as you said, it didn't need a lot. Less
Hmm.
did a lot more with a lot less, and it was a lot more powerful, a lot more moving because it was easier for
Hmm.
people to focus on
Sure.
the idea.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
this
No,
next
no,
one
no.
is
I get the fact that a lot of times if we're making a report on something, here's a quarterly thing. Of course, you got to have slides and numbers and things like that. But when it comes to the big idea,
right.
have that one thing. Here's what I like to say. It's like when people leave the meeting, what do you want them to say that they remember?
Right.
And they're not going to say seven things. Like, well,
Right.
for the meeting, I would say we're in trouble, or it's like, hang in there, or it's like, things suck, but we have a strategy.
Yeah.
Okay. Things suck, but we have a strategy. Okay. That might be the best possible thing to get in the minds of your people.
Yeah. Hope. I'm good. Big fan of
Yeah.
hope. It sounds like a little bit of hope coming. All right. This is notoriously a tough question, but
Oh, love it. Bring it. Bring it.
yeah. If you had to narrow it down, what one book would you recommend to our listeners? What's the one book you'd say, you know what, if you're going to read anything, you should definitely read this one?
Wow. What one book? Wow. I've read like so many books. Wow. It's like, I'm like literally reading like, 4 books right now. So it's going to sound really, really weird, but my favorite book for years has been a book called 1937.
Hmm.
And it was all the things that were going on in 1937 that were all precursors for today. It's
Oh,
like,
wow.
I mean, when you think about it, it's like, like like my mother was actually born in 1937, and so it's really with the technology and the things that were important then, and to me, it was like just I found reading about a time which was for us a long time ago, but was still within the lifetime of people who are still walking this earth. Um, Fascinated me and changed how I thought about the present. So it was called 1937,
Hmm.
and it was weird to think that the year that my parents or some of the other people, my grandparents, again, people who are still alive who love you. It's like
Yeah.
the year they were born, there were still tens of thousands of people alive who had personal memories of Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah,
Like,
man.
what? How?
Yeah.
No, that's possible. It's
That
like,
can't be, but 1865.
yeah,
Yeah.
my grandfather was born and could tell me the first time he saw a car, the first time that he listened to a radio, that they're out in the country on a farm. Nothing is lonelier at night. It's dark. It's
Yep.
dark. And then for the first time, they turned on this little box, and out of the air
Came
came
sound.
news and music and things like that. And there was just something about reading about these technologies and what life was like not all that long ago that just moved me. And so that would
Yeah.
be the book, 1937.
Yeah, no, I tell you what's amazing, and it calls us to mind. Years ago, I'm in Southeast Florida, right, and there was this hurricane that
Mhm,
came through, and it knocked out all the power in the entire county. And
mhm,
so I'm driving that night to go to where we had a restaurant, it's cafeteria operation, to check and make sure that the food
mhm,
is. It has never been so freaking dark. I mean, I turned off the headlights of the car and there was nothing. I mean, we haven't seen that kind of dark in so maybe when you're like at sea or something like
mhm,
that. But it's incredible how how
mhm,
far we've come in what at least in historical terms is in such a short period of time, and it gives you tremendous. I don't know a mix of fear and excitement as to what is around the corner next. If we've come this far so quickly, what's next, kind of thing.
mhm,
Uh, so similar question, but
mhm. Yep.
favorite movie of all time.
Oh, so many favorite movies of all time. It's like, well, I have to go different in categories. From drama, I'm still a Godfather Part Two guy. Um,
We can
just
be friends.
because, I mean, it again. And I actually read the book by Mario Puzo, and so I got to get like the full version. Um, and just, I mean, such an epic arc. I mean, it's Shakespearean and the clashes and the drama. So like that. And then when it comes to just campy, funny humor, I don't know why, but it's like the very first Shrek movie because it was so what you weren't expecting. I
Yep.
mean, you're expecting a Disney, oh, and the ogres are good, and it's like it just just Lord Farquaad's, saying it's like, trying to have the soldiers attack the ogre and some of you may die, but it's a sacrifice I'm willing for you to make. I mean,
Yeah,
like there's just humor there that
yeah.
you weren't expecting to see. And so I'm sure that shows me as a non-intellectual person, but that's just so
You,
funny.
Brian, you're among your people right now. I'm with you every step of the way, man. I love it. And now there's a show on. I'm trying to remember the name of it, on the making of Godfather One, and it
Yes,
was
I
on.
saw that series.
It
Yes,
was
I think it was on
so
Apple
good.
TV. I could be wrong. Yes,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
good.
no. So good. So good. It's such an interesting story about how it was made and all the pushback from the mafia and Sinatra, and such a
Mhm,
I mean, it was almost as good as the movie, if anything could be as good as the movie. But famous
mhm.
person in history you'd want to meet if you could.
Oh yeah, so I have a weird thing is I would have loved to have met Theodore Roosevelt. So
Mm,
Theodore Roosevelt, he was we forget it's like in the early part of the 20th century, he was one of the most well known people in the entire world.
yep.
Theodore Roosevelt, and he was what they call the first modern president. Before it was like Congress had all the power, and the president's like, yeah, you just do your little thing here, but we have the money or something like that. He was the first one where he talked about the bully pulpit of I mean, at that time, presidents didn't even campaign. They would go out on their porch, and reporters would come to them, and they would say things. They would send their surrogates.
Yep.
And Theodore Roosevelt was the first one who said, "Screw that! I'm going out there
I
myself,
want
and
this
I'm going to
job.
talk to people." And he was such a contradiction in so many things. It's like he
Yep.
was this robust guy, and he loved animals, but yet he went shooting in safaris and killed all these things. It's like he had very complex story when it came to like racial relations. There was some very unfortunate things that happened with a black American unit where his pride got involved. But on the other hand, he was the first one. He was interested in the Japanese. He took judo lessons.
Yep.
It's like, and he was, and it's like he was the first to have an African American have a meal in the White House. I mean, so he was just a contradiction of all of these things. But I would imagine it's like you put him and Winston Churchill together, you wouldn't get a word in, but boy, it would be fascinating just to
And
hear
there would
those two
probably be
talk.
some alcohol consumed. Yeah, that would be a thing.
Probably not
Um,
by Theodore,
no,
actually.
no,
Theodore,
Teddy wasn't a big drinker, but Winston would drink enough for
yes,
both.
but Winston, yes, it's like guard your brandy, right? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. No, really interesting guy. Used to swim in the Potomac every day, and he's just an interesting guy.
Mhm.
Um, person from your past you'd want to sit down with and have lunch with today if you could.
Person with the past was like, let's see. They're actually there is a boss that I had a number of years ago who I don't know if she is still alive. And she
Mm,
wasn't the most it wasn't that she was the most successful or amazing boss in the year, but she managed me when I was in my early 20s. And again, I didn't know very much about business back then, and so I don't even know how good of a leader or boss that she was. But for me, she put me on a path and gave me opportunities, and she was someone who recognized and convinced me that I was what we now call part of the creative class. Like, you're a creative. Like, what do you mean am I creative? Like, you're a creative. And so here's the things that are going to be helpful for you, and here's the thing you got to watch out for. And
yeah,
because at that time I was a people pleaser, and it's like, if you didn't like me, it was a crime against humanity. I mean, how is that possible?
yeah,
And then she encouraged me and got me some training where it's like, oh, like behavior styles are real, and I can't just be a pleaser. If I want to be a leader or a manager myself, I actually have to grow a spine and learn to, projectively and deal with conflict. And so she put me on a path. It wasn't that she was there for the whole time, but she put me on a path. And it's like, I don't know how much appreciation she got in, 'cause she was in HR, and HR people don't usually
yeah.
get much love in HR. And it's like, I would love to go to lunch with her if she was still alive. I've been able to find her on LinkedIn, um, and just say, you helped me and I appreciate you. It's almost like going back to like your fourth grade teacher,
Yep.
to me, it's like the professional equivalent of that, of going back
Yeah.
and saying, you never knew this, but you made a difference to me, and I remember you, and I honor you.
Yeah.
Great.
No,
Now I have
it's
to. Now maybe I'm like, now I got to go find her.
yeah. I look, gratitude and going back and saying thank you, man. Can you imagine how that would make her feel to know that that meant that that's one of the crazy things, and it's what I love about what we both get to
Mhm.
do. You get the
Mhm.
chance sometimes to say the very thing that is what somebody needs to hear at that moment that changes the course of the rest of their life, and makes it a little better. And if you
Mhm.
can be the person that says or does that right thing at that right moment, man, I can't think of anything that's more important or valuable to be
Well,
able to do
I
for
mean,
a living.
seriously, I'm gonna redouble my efforts. I mean, again, I haven't thought for her for a while, and I thought, I, I tried on LinkedIn, but it's like, I'm an intelligent guy. I should be able to find her if she's still
There's
alive.
got to be a way. There's got to
Got
be
to
a
be a
way.
way. I'm
Ah,
sure AI will tell me. So, yeah.
absolutely, Brian. This is what you should have been doing all this time. AI is getting to be a smartass. It's a thing. Um, what piece of advice would you go back and give a younger version of you if you could, Brian?
A younger of me or someone like me. It's like,
Nope,
like
just you.
advice.
If you could go back and like, hey, Brian, look, cut it
Brian,
out.
it's like when you first moved to Seattle, buy Microsoft stock and Apple stock and hold on to it and don't let go. It's
Ah,
like,
there you go.
I
Genius.
remember we're moving here in Seattle, and it's like, friends are working at this Microsoft place, yeah, and it's like, and they're like buying stock. It's like, well, we don't have any money to buy stock here. It's like, I remember talked to a financial guy and said, it's like, so if when I first moved to Seattle when I was in my 20s, if I had just bought $1,000 of like Microsoft stock or Apple stock, didn't do anything, we just held on to it. It's like instead of $1,000, that would have been like, yeah, 300,000 easy, maybe 500,000 by now. And it's
Yep.
just like, oh, but of course you can't predict the future here.
You can't.
So,
You can't. Don't do that to yourself. It's rough.
I guess no, it's like, I probably would have encouraged myself to go out on my own and start my own business earlier. I started my own business in 2007. I was
Hmm.
part of a training company, and I'd developed what I was doing, in the 5-7 years before that. But I didn't have the courage to go out on my own until my wife said, "We need to make this whole extreme meetings thing our own business. So let's go do that. And if you just keep doing your little talent thing, I'll take care of all the accounts payable, business, and taxes and things like that." And so within 3 weeks, we were on our own.
Nice, man. And
And
that
my
that
wife did that because she read it in Oprah magazine, Create the Life You Want. And she's like, you know what? Here's what we need to do. And 3 weeks later, I said, yes, dear, let's do it.
you know what I mean? That's that same thing, saying that thing or writing that thing or whatever that somebody needed to hear at that right time. And here you are with customers that are 20 years loyal. That's a beautiful thing,
Mhm,
man.
mhm,
Last couple of questions for you. It's easy
mhm.
one.
Sure.
Well, this last one's not the easiest, but if you had to pick, who would you pick to be in a foxhole with you?
My wife.
Yeah, no, I was going to say that was
That
almost
was easy.
asked
That
and
was an easy
answered
one.
already.
It's like, no question. It's like,
Yeah,
and I
good
just want to
stuff.
acknowledge to people, it's like, not everyone, it's weird. It's like, used to be, people got married and they stay married, even if they were miserable and things like that. And so I realize that I'm a privileged person, that I got fortunate that I found my soulmate when I was 21 years old.
Yeah,
The odds of that happening are so low. And so when I say that, it's like, this is my person and I'm her person. It's like, I realize, I just want to acknowledge other people are like, well, that's not my experience. And I realize that's hard. But if you do have that,
hang
then
on
it's
to it.
like, well, if there was a foxhole, it's the only person I would want in that she's got my back, I've got her back, and that's the most important thing to me.
It's wonderful to know that and to truly know that in the center of your soul that somebody's really got your back.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that getting to experience that is such an important part of life. One of the best things in life is to be known and known by somebody, to know and know somebody that way. But what do
If
you
it
do
was
to
a
unwind?
physical thing, though, then the Rock, I would want the Rock there, and I would just hide behind him. So there.
Yeah, no, or somebody that maybe the guy that what's his guy, the can't hurt me guy. He seems like he's pretty hardcore. I
Exactly.
can't think of the guy's name off the top of my head, but
Mhm.
ah, yeah, the Navy SEAL guy. Um,
Mhm.
what do you do to unwind, Brian?
It's the weirdest thing. So when I'm at my busiest, and I'm like, "Ah," and I finally, and I've like been on the road or I've been on this ginormous project and I finally do it. There is something cathartic for me about doing mindless errands. I mean,
Okay.
literally mindless errands. Like, I don't know, like this is now that's not, I mean, that's just how I like, like, just like settle down. It's like, I'm
So
going to
like
go to
mow the
Trader
lawn
Joe's.
or go get milk kind of thing.
Oh no, no, I it's like that. When it comes to the lawn, let's see. When I was still in my 20s, it occurred to me that if I get rid of the lawnmower, I will never have to mow a lawn in my life. I've mowed one lawn in my life. I was against it, and I realized that's what money's for. There's always a neighborhood kid that I could give. Now of course it's like
Outsourcing.
practically $1,000, but at the time it'd be like, hey, here's $10. You want to mow my lawn? But no, I mean, mine's I mean, like, hey, return stuff, return Amazon purchases, go
Gotcha.
spend 2 hours browsing Trader Joe's looking for the right kind of carrots. I mean, just
Gotcha.
any
All right.
mindless things, get the oil change, get like anything, just like there's something about mindless errands that says I'm relaxed. For fun, I would say long format hanging with friends where now that
Okay.
you're going somewhere, it's just like, we're just going to go and talk and hang out and let the dogs run around and, brag about our
B.
kids and things like that.
Yeah, B. Just converse
Just
and
be.
yeah, good stuff. Um, two questions left. What's next
Mhm.
for you, Brian? What's the next project? What's the next thing that you got rolling around? What's the next thing that's got your
Cool.
appetite?
Cool. So the next, the next thing again, as I chronologically advance, it's weird. It's like I finally got the point where it's like, well, I'm not even close to retiring. I have friends who retire. Like, why would you retire? I mean, that's
Yeah,
insane. Um, but on the other hand, I realize I don't have forever.
it's
And so then
true.
you're like, okay, so now I have to like, what are some things that I want to do? And so like we've been talking about the whole, the sticky messages, the sticky approach thing. And I'm going more, I wouldn't say all in, but I'm going more in. Like as my other business starts, that sunsetting type of thing. It's like I want to ramp up. It's like I thought, what can I be the Yoda? Yes, Yoda, sticky will you be? I mean, that it's like, and so you've heard of like Entrepreneurs Organization or Vistage or the ones that are things like there are mastermind groups of business people. There's all sorts of different ones. There's probably like 5 or 7 different ones that they have chapters and they have groups. So, there's like 5 of them in Seattle, 10 in Los Angeles, 4 in Chicago. I mean, they're all over the
Sure.
place. And I want to help business leaders learn how to be sticky in the things they want to get into their employees' heads. And so, like for me, well, it comes back, it's like I want to spend more and more time doing that because eventually, 10 years from now, it's like, who invited Grandpa to come speak to our group here? It's like, I'm stickier than you, Sonny. Okay. I mean, so like, and again, and that will, this is going to be in the age of AI. Well, let's just have AI do it. Yeah, it's not going to work because computers, all these AI does, they're predictive machines. It's here's what should come next in a word sequence or
Yep.
drawing something or doing something or analyzing something. But when it comes to motivating us and getting us to remember things, that's still human to human. And we're always going to have that. And so for me, it's like I'm going to be spending more and more of my time working with business leaders on how to get what's most important to you into their heads so that it sticks.
Yeah. No,
That's my
it's
next
good
thing.
stuff. Simple stuff, but great. Last question I have, which is where can people find you, Brian, if they want to take and find out more about your program, talk, engage with you? Where can they do that?
Sure. I've got 2 different websites. One is extrememeetings.com. So that there's that. Again, you can reach me at Brian at extrememeetings.com. And this is all about anything that's a meeting. And it's like, the content, the visuals, the graphics, videos, interaction, and entertainment. Boom. That's all about. Second, be sticky training, which has techniques that a company can just like license, not a subscription, just like license, like, hey, we'd like to get some of these techniques that Brian's been talking about and plug our own content in and not be boring. So I would say
Beautiful.
both of those places, streammeetings.com, stickytraining.com, and you'll see the bald guy at both of them.
Love it. Love it. Brian, thank you so much for your time, sir, and giving us quite a bit of your time. I greatly appreciate it. I know our listeners really do. So thank you for being on.
It's a pleasure. And now we get all of our crapola together.
Exactly. And I want to thank our listeners, guys. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. As I do every time, I remind you there's never a good excuse not to know your shit. Till next time.
Yeah.